Hey guys, so I'm going to be solving rotate array. It's an easy array question from LeetCode. So given an array, rotate the array to the right by k steps where k is non-negative. I'll just show you one solution. It says 3, but I'm going to be showing one solution, which is going to be O1 extra space. So here are some examples that they gave. I will show you with a graph. It's going to be more easier. So this is basically example 1, which you are shifting these three numbers here. So 5, 6, 7, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. You're shifting these two numbers. This is K2, so you're shifting these two numbers, negative 1 and 100, right here, and 3 and 99 here. So 3, 99, negative 1, 100, negative 100. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using some cycles. So 1 is going to be placed here, 4 is going to be placed here, 7 here, 3 here. So it's like a cycle. And right here, it's a bit, it's a special case where you go back, and that's a place where you've already been, where it's a number that you've already used to shift forward. So it's like a cycle of going like this. So what you want to do is you're just shifting one space front, then using that to do the cycle again. You want to have your current index as 0. Sorry. You want to have the next index 0. And what you also want to have is your start index as 0. The start index is going to be used when you have, for example 2, when you have your number going backwards, but then that there's a number that you've already used when you want to already moving forward. So we're going to be using the start index then. You also want to have your next num, which is the number that you're going to be shifting. So nums, what is it? Next index. Okay. And you also want to have your base, which is you're not going to be using the plain K. You're going to be doing this. Okay. The reason is you want to account for like numbers like 7, 14, which is the same as 0. You want to account for numbers like 8, 15, the same as 1. So we look here, like if k is 0, you're not moving anything. If k is 7, you're moving all the 7 numbers back and forth, and you're putting 1 here, but then 1 is out of bounds, so you're going to be putting that back here. 2, you're putting it right here, but then you're also putting it back here, so it's going to be the same. 0 and 7, 1 and 8. It's going to be the same, so you're doing this to account for that. And you're going to be using for loop to iterate through all the numbers. Nums and indices. You want to know what your next index is, right? So where you want to put your current number is what you want to know first. So next index, there's going to be 2 cases. So the first case is when you're moving it forward, and then the next case is going to be when you're moving it backwards. So first, moving forward, if current index plus base is smaller than the nums.size, that's when you want to move it forward, okay? So moving it forward is just simple, just current index plus base. But then if it's not, you want to move it backwards, you want to do the same thing, but you just want to do this nums.size. So to understand that, look at here, look, you can just look here, like if you're moving 4 with K3, you're just jumping over these 2 numbers, and then you're putting 4 where 7 is. What about 5? You're jumping over these 2 numbers and you're putting it right here, which is out of bounds. You want to account for that by negative, by subtracting the length of the array. So you're putting 5 on where the index is 7 minus 7, which is right here. 7, jump over some number, and then you're putting your 6 here, but then that's out of bounds. So -7, negative the array size, which is right here, okay? That's how you move backwards. So let's start updating the numbers. So make a temporary variable, which is the next index is number, the next index that you got right here. And then we want to put there is actually the next num that you have. And you also want to update your next num, which is going to be the temp. You also want to update your current index, which is going to be the next index that you have. So you have to update your current index to get the right next index. So you're updating right here. So is that it? Try submitting. Wrong answer. Would not account for the situation where you go back and then the number is what that you've already used. So that's what's happening right here. So how do you account for that? That's when you use start index, which is something that I've said, right? Okay, so if start index is equal to next index, this is what example 2 is going to be having fun with. So all the things that I just typed is going to be put on the else statement. Let's beautify it a little bit. Okay. And what you want to do here is, okay, so update the next index's num. Do that first. And for the start index, just increment that by 1. And then put your current index in where the start index is incremented. Okay. So it's just shifting it by 1. You're not doing the cycle that you see in example 1. You're just shifting the current index by 1. Okay. So this new cycle is beginning. Right? And you also want to update your next num, right? Which is going to be num's current index. Okay. So that accounts for that. So let's submit and see how it goes. You have a runtime error message. What array index out of bound exception. So what happens here is right here is that error. Your base is 0, right? So your next ID is 0, your current ID is going to be 0 because everything's 0. And then you come down here because your start index is 0 and your next ID is 0, so you're going to be placed right here. Your start index becomes 1. But then, so the current index also is 1. So what is nums with index 1? Nothing. There's nothing. It's out of bound. So you have to account for that situation too. Okay. So if the base is 0, just end the function. If the base is 0, you actually don't have to do anything. So you're going to be skipping all this, and then the function is just going to end. So if you submit that, sorry, it took a bit long. Pending. Accept it. Okay. So I did not use any extra memory. I did not use any extra array to solve this. So this is space complexity of 01. The time complexity would be the num size, num size, because we're iterating through all the numbers. So that's it. Thank you guys.